Good morning. I hope you're having an excellent third Sunday of Advent. I am filming my little Vlogmas episode today in front of the tree. It is almost freezing out there. We have not had our first frost yet in Oregon, where I am at, but we got close this morning. Uh, Today I am wearing the Spark cardigan by Andrea Mowry, and this is knit out of Knit Picks tweed in their worsted base and a hand spun. And this is actually some of my really early hand spun, but I think it looks nice. I finished the inside steeked edge with just a piece of grosgrain ribbon, and you can see there's slight variations between like the sleeve cuffs and the body, but I tried my best to match. Same thing with like the sleeves. Like I'm sure until I pointed it out, it might not have even been noticeable. But there's slight variations just from the nature of using hand spun. Sometimes you get like different colors in different parts of the skein, and I tried my best to match. I actually ran out of the yarn. I think the main color work I used, like an Into the World skein, would have been from years ago. But I ran out, and so what I ended up doing was that Wolf Fiend Advent skein, and I'm like, I know I used this on something. It was this project. And so when I got to the join, I switched and started using that, and I can tell like I think this is about where the color is different, but it looked like it matched enough. And that's one advantage of a bottom up sweater, is that if you do end up with something like that where you run out of yarn, if you do it from here up in the yoke, it looks like it's on purpose. So it's not as big a deal as if you run out going the other way and you're like, well, is the sleeve going to look different, or is the body? So anyway, this is one of my favorite hand knits ever. I actually want to make more of these. Andrea Mowry has so many really great sweater patterns with different stitch patterns, and I want to insert those into different hand spun sweaters like this, where I pick a main color and then use hand spun for the contrast. So anyway, one of my favorite projects. We're actually gonna do some Christmas card pictures here in a little bit. My little one got his first wheelchair this week, and so I want to take some nice pictures of him all dressed up in front of the tree in his chair, and we'll do some pictures together. Anyway, I've got our outfits planned out. Today, I'm going to talk about, just update you on some of my projects that I've been working on this Advent season, and kind of give you a quick update on those different things. So I think I showed this earlier in the week, but here's the Romulus pullover. I had completed the sleeves through where I'll join them to the yoke. My little one is playing with toys right next to me. And then this morning I worked on the color work part of the body of the sweater, and I made a mistake. So when I'll show you with the sleeve. So I was following the chart and not paying attention, and I did not pay attention to the way the pattern was supposed to go for the bottom, but try to find a way where you can really see it. It's hard to hold just a little bit of the sweater, but they don't match, and I just went with it. I'm struggling to show this here. Let me try to fold this. I fumble with my yarn here. So I made a mistake with the stitch count at the bottom, where instead of having like 2 stitches, and then because you can see like these little motifs have 2 stitches together, I did 1, and I had got all the way around the round and the row, and I was like, there's no way I'm ripping back color work. So I just went with it, and I tried to make it look like Christmas trees. I don't know that I succeeded. They're little stubby Christmas trees. But anyway, I ended up adding an extra row to the stitch chart just to make it work, because I didn't want this little part to be too close to the red. I wanted it to actually be distinct, just because my stitch count was a little off for my pattern, but I made it work. I don't think anyone would ever know. And I have one more row of the color work until I'm to the body, and I can just knit with the gray around until I get to this part of the yoke on the body part, and then I will join everything together. I'm hoping if the timing works out with time of day and all that, I kind of want to do a quick tutorial when I get to that point, just to talk about, just maybe not a tutorial, that would be fancier than I am right now, but just like a little tips video of how I do color work, both with holding 2 colors and 3 colors. So I'm hoping to do that here if it works out, but eventually that would be, I think, an interesting video. I like to hear what other people do for their projects, and maybe it'll be useful. So anyway, I am using up the leftover bibs and bobs from the sleeves on the body, since I'm going to have to wind in a bunch of ends down at the bottom anyway. And it should be pretty easy to hide that because the color work, it's easy to kind of tuck it in. And then I'll just go from there. Hopefully I'm not playing yarn chicken, but kind of the same thing with with this sweater. Like if I were to run out of the gray, which I don't think I will, but if I run out when I get up to the color work, then whatever I do for the color work is just how the sweater looks, and it would be fine. So nice. So that is this project. Hope to work on that more this afternoon. And then I've been just stitching on socks like crazy. I go through phases where I knit tons of socks and where I don't, and this month has been all about the socks. Here are my Advent socks. Using Haberland yarn for the different colors. And years ago, I purchased a grab bag from her, and she had a whole bunch of different bobbins, and I've just been stitching away on those down the foot of the sock. They're going faster now because I do however many days left until Christmas is how many rows I do. So now I think today's was like 11 rows. So I'm like, it's getting faster. And then eventually I'll get to the point where rather than knit 3 rows and stop, a lot of times I'll just open up the rest of my advent calendar and finish them. So these should be finished a couple days before Christmas is typically what I'll do. And then I've been winding my leftovers onto, I don't know if they're called gobstopper balls. I can't remember. There was like a whole name for them a couple years ago, but I just take all my little ends and put them on there. Anyway, I'm enjoying this project and it is coming along. They're just so happy and pretty. I do forget how much time these take every year though. But anyhow, other projects. I pulled this one back out. I'm hoping to finish this one in time for Christmas as a gift for someone. I just have to knit the foot. The other sock is finished. They will be fraternal twins because I did not match where I started them, but I feel like they look like they go together. So anyway, so I'm hoping to finish these as a gift. I have time. So I've got that. I worked a little bit more on the sock cuff on this, and see if I can find the yarn band. I'm trying to be more official and keep all of my yarn bands handy. And this is the Ferner. And I really love this yarn. Like it is so squishy and nice. Anyway, I'm looking forward to getting back to those. I have come to the sad conclusion I am going to lose that yarn chicken with my other Advent Sunday project. So I was knitting along with these, and the yarn ball just started getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So I know I don't have enough to do a pair of socks with this. So what I decided to do was I cut the yarn, I put it onto some spare needles. These are just some Knit Pro Zings. I don't knit magic loop socks anymore, so I just use these to hold stitches because it's easy with the needle to get things on and off. He's got lots to say about it. So anyway, so I put those on some spare needles just so I could try to knit the second sock and see what happens. I don't have more than one set of this size needle, which is another reason I cut the yarn. So I started the second cuff, and I'm just going to see how it goes. So I'm going to put the stripes in for the red, knit down this part. We'll see. So I've got kind of a plan. Make them match as much as I can as part of the plan. But I pulled mini skeins. So this was from the same Advent of Sunday set. Sorry, he's very chatty this morning. That I used one of the larger skeins for a sweater yoke. So I have this, which goes with the color palette, I feel, and it's the same yarn base. And then if that fails, which I think it probably will, I'm going to start digging into some of the other skein sets I have with this particular Sunday of Advent. My choices are to pull the cream skein, or I think to pull from this skein. This will be a different pair of socks, but like seeing how this project's going, I know that I'm going to need this yarn to knit these socks too. So I figure just kind of make it work as best I can. I kind of feel like the white will go better with this pair, so I'll probably tap into this as I get going down the foot. But anyway, that is where that project stands. Losing at yarn chicken, but I'm trying to make it work like it's on purpose. just like scanning around, seeing what other projects I have. One other thing I'll show real quick since I have it out, because we're going to do Christmas photos in a little bit, is I thought I'd show one of my quilts. Sorry, that's not a very good angle for my quilt. So this is just a simple patchwork quilt. I know sometimes I work on all of these fancy quilts with all of these beautiful blocks, and sometimes just a simple patchwork I feel like is just amazing. So this is just a whole bunch of different patterns. I think I had a couple of layer cakes, and I chopped them up into 5-inch squares, and I just sewed them all together. I had a couple of like pretty Christmas prints, and this has been washed a million times, so it has faded. But I had some pretty Christmas prints, and so I grabbed those and put those in. And I know I could just see myself making tons of these type of quilts for the different holidays. It's super practical, super warm, and the back is just scrappy. Like I went through a phase where I would just take random fat quarters from my stash and just sew them together and use it for the backing. It's a nice way to, like, if you have colors that you don't think you'd want to feature on the front of a quilt, just put them on the back. And I suppose I could have been fancier and cut them to be like squares or something, but I was in a phase at that point. Anyway, that's my Christmas quilt. I think that's all of my projects. I plan on doing a cast on party with a couple pairs of socks. I'm waiting for one more pair of needles to be delivered, and then I will show that just to kind of do a quick tips video of how I cast on socks. And I'm going to cast on 3 pairs of socks. Why not? Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed, and I will catch you tomorrow.